Giants at the Vikings. Prime time for the UK and Ireland, so a little bit disappointed with that. Take a look at the betting. Giants 2.46, Vikings 1.64. The point spread gives Giants a 3-point head start, and the total is 48. Rob, you're pretty sweet on a side here.
I am. It won't surprise the viewing audience who's been viewing
we
all
give
year.
them a minute. Give them a minute to come in the comments if they want. But go
on. Which side? But I think that the Giants are the valuable side in this game. First and foremost, we did see these teams play a few weeks back, and the line closed Minnesota -4.5 at home to the Giants. And people seem to be very hung up on that being the closing line and saying, well, how can we see this much of an adjustment over the course of just a few weeks? For starters, if people remember, I liked the Giants in that game already, so I was not near the market closer. But on top of that, we have to account for that game as well. And yes, Minnesota won. They got out-yarded badly. The Giants had 6.9 yards per play in that game to the Vikings 5.0. The difference was the 2 turnovers that the Giants committed overall in that contest, which ultimately cost them. And since then, we've seen other games between these teams. We saw the Vikings get shellacked by the Packers, who are not making the playoffs either. So there's more data points in between then that also tell us that maybe the Vikings are not as good as their record. Maybe the Giants are a little bit better in the second half of the season. One thing I'm really looking forward to here, it looks like Adoree Jackson is trending towards being back for the Giants at corner. That will help them a lot, especially in this game, because if we look at the matchup from a few weeks ago, the Giants do what they always do. They blitz a lot on defense. They're the highest blitzing team in the entire league with Wink Martindale as their defensive coordinator there. Kirk Cousins played very well against the blitz in that game. He went 15 of 23, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. A lot of that because he's just lobbing him up to Justin Jefferson one-on-one. I don't think the Giants are going to change their style of defense, but bringing in a top-level corner again, not going to shut down Justin Jefferson. That's not what I'm saying. But somebody who can make a few more plays on the outside, I think tilts this into the New York Giants' favor. And also, that was a bit of an anomaly for Kirk Cousins under pressure this year. He hasn't been great by any means under pressure for the majority of the season. So I like the Giants' defense in terms of being able to put in a better performance than we saw a few weeks ago. On the other side of things, there's just not much to say about the Vikings defense anymore that hasn't been said. They're just not good. They don't defend anything really well. They especially struggle in the secondary. Against the Giants in their first matchup, they played a lot of 6-man boxes, which they've been doing a lot this year because their secondary is so bad, they have to drop more people into coverage. Saquon Barkley had a great game. I would expect him to have another good game again here. I can't get to 3 in this game. I don't think there's much separating the Vikings and the Giants. So give me New York plus the points. That's probably my favorite look this week.
Okay, Suma, say something that Rob hasn't for your play here in the Giants plus 3. Go on.
I can't really because Rob has made all the great points that I also would have made. One thing to add is that the Giants, they are extremely blitz heavy, and Kirk Cousins, it was a common theme throughout the season that Kirk Cousins has consistently struggled against blitz. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the scheme adjustment to Kevin O'Connell. Maybe they don't have enough quality hot rods. I just don't know what it is, but Kirk Cousins has consistently been below average in comparison to the rest of the league against the blitz. And I also think that the Vikings offensive line will be completely overmatched in obvious passing situations because Dexter Lawrence is an absolute monster, arguably the best nose tackle in the league this year. Leonard Williams, Kevin Thibodeau is coming along. Right tackle Brian Neal will be out. We don't know about Garrett Bradbury yet. I guess that's maybe like 60-40 that he's going to play. I think that the Giants can move the ball on the Vikings. They did it on Christmas Eve already. It was just the 2 turnovers deep into Vikings territory that basically killed them, but they were moving the ball with ease on that Vikings defense. And then on the other side, like Rob has said, if they get Adoree Jackson back, that will be huge, especially with all the blitz man schemes that Wink Martindale is running. I think the Giants are absolutely live here. I cannot get to the 3 here. I'm around 2 for this game. I like the G-Man, and yes, I would not be surprised at all if we saw Giants at Eagles next week.
Okay. Drew, I know you're a pass on this, but quick thoughts on Rob and Suma's points.
Yeah, I guess I kind of have to make a point why I didn't bet the Giants then.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's what I should ask, really. Yeah, go on.
I just have a very, very high push probability on 3. Like a lot of my game simulations land Vikings by 3, and that shouldn't be surprising because something like 40% of the Vikings wins this season came by 3 points. And this is a very weird team. Did you guys know that Kirk Cousins leads the league with 8 fourth quarter comebacks this year? 8 game-winning drives. I watched a lot of Vikings games. I certainly didn't come away with the impression that Kirk Cousins was some late game magician that was, willing this team to victory. But sure enough, there were. The other kind of weird, funny things about this game and this handicap, to me at least, are a lot of people I've heard say the Giants are playing their best football right now, which the data doesn't say that at all. The win-loss definitely doesn't support that. I think people kind of really, really, really overweighted them destroying the Colts, who are effectively an FBS team. And so I worry a little bit that the Giants aren't quite as good as, market expectation is right now, at least in the back of my head. Daniel Jones, we have a lot to... Daniel Jones went from, even as a 7-win quarterback or middle of the season, people being like, no, you don't keep bringing him back. Like, you can't put your future on this guy. He then goes 2-5-1, and people are like, oh yeah, well, they really did something with Daniel Jones this season, and we're gonna, we're not only bringing him back, but he might be the future franchise quarterback here. And it's like, I get it. The Giants invested a lot in developing the kid, and he certainly has taken a meaningful step forward. But so much of his success comes specifically from the way that Kafka and Dable are scheming the offense and giving him the running lanes, and his ability to get a ton on the ground is without question. He is a very elusive quarterback. So all said, like, I do worry a bit about the Giants being overrated. Vikings have the best player in this game, and Justin Jefferson, clearly. Like, he's maybe even more so than Kirk Cousins getting credit for all those 8 game-winning drives. Like, this Vikings team beat the Buffalo Bills because of Justin Jefferson. There were several other games where he was absolutely instrumental to them, kind of, in comeback mode. So, his sort of kind of finding an elite, I'm the best player on the field, I'm willing this team to victory is still real. So then, if the fair price is 3 and it's a very strong fair, in my opinion, how do you attack this game? You're looking for a total bet, maybe. You're looking for a live bet, an in-play bet. I think there are a lot of potential angles to play this game live. Either of these teams gets a 2-score lead, I am firing on the dog without hesitation. Firing on the dog. I don't trust either of these teams to be able to put this game away comfortably. And oh, by the way, either of these teams have a meaningful lead, and it's a little bit of a lower scoring, kind of a snoozer through 2-3 quarters. Firing on the over. Like, this game opening up in the fourth quarter and being like trading scores late, even if it's just field goals, this game going to overtime potentially is very real in my mind. And, for those of you who are handicapping at home, the overtime rules now in the playoffs are different. The maximum points that can be scored in the overtime period are no longer, what was it? What did it used to be? 12 or whatever you could get. You score, I guess it was, yeah. The maximum you used to be able to get has gone up because you now have each team gets the possession even if the first team scores a touchdown and a field goal. So 2 teams scoring 13 points is entirely on the table because the second team going for 15 points is entirely on the table. And then it's sudden death after that. So you could even get a 17-point overtime period. So totals could, in any game that is going to overtime, could potentially be impacted pretty aggressively. I don't think that makes an over 48 a play, but it's definitely going to be in my mind betting live. And I think I'd like to see the Giants win because it would be a cool story. I love Dable. I like, in general, what that team is doing in terms of building a core. I don't think the Vikings necessarily deserve to be here. They're my 3rd power ranked team in the NFC North right now. The other 2 teams are not in the playoffs. And Vikings extremely lucky to be a 13-win team and be here. I don't think they're as low a team rated as like Football Outsiders makes them, but that, this is not an especially, above average team as far as I can tell you. So, I don't know. I'd like to see the Giants win for entertainment purposes, but if the Vikings win, I think that sets up a decent bet against them next week. So either way is fine with me.